Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Drift by C.J. Tudor. This is a book coming out in 2023. It's a horror post-apocalyptic book from Ballantine. I received this art from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. There are no spoilers in this review. While this book is very easy to read and entertaining, by the end I was a little frustrated by it. I love apocalypses and snowbound horror, but the horror was more kind of thriller-based, and the apocalypse aspects are very few and far between. Yet, I think people who like novels with unreliable narrators, multi-POV, and lots of twists will enjoy this one. It just didn't work for me, and that's fine. So what is it about? Hannah awakens to carnage, all mangled metal and shattered glass. During a hasty escape from a secluded boarding school, her coach careened over a hillside road during one of the year's heaviest snowstorms, trapping her inside with a handful of survivors, a brewing virus, and no way to call for help. If she and the remaining few want to make it out alive with their sanity and secrets intact, they'll need to work together or they'll be buried alive with the rest of the dead. A former detective, Meg awakens to a gentle rocking. She's in a cable car, suspended far above a snowstorm and surrounded by strangers in the same uniform as her, with no memory of how they got here. They're heading to a mysterious place known to them only as The Retreat. But when they discover a dead man walking among the ranks and Meg spies a familiar face, she realizes that there is something far more insidious going on. Carter is gazing out the window of an abandoned ski chalet that he and his ragtag compatriots call home. Together they manage a precarious survival, manufacturing vaccines against a deadly virus in exchange for life's essentials. But as their generator begins to waver, the threat of something lurking in the chalet's depths looms larger, and their fragile bonds will be tested when the power finally fails for good. That's a very long explanation, but it does sound cool though, right? Which is why I, wanted to read it. I was lucky because I got an email from NetGalley about how the first 200 people, to click on the book basically, would get a copy of the novel, and obviously I got one. Unfortunately, I had to read it on the NetGalley Shelf app, which is really basic, and it doesn't let me highlight like my e-reader does, so yeah, I'm not super impressed with the NetGalley Shelf thing, and I'm probably not going to use it again. As such, all of this review is generated mainly by memory, not highlights that I could look back on, so let's see. I will say the book is entertaining and would make a decent movie. Except for the very end, I was never bored. It moves at a balanced pace, the chapters are short, and the three POVs help keep things dynamic. Yet, there's just something meh about the novel for me. It just didn't click with me. First of all, it's said to be post-apocalyptic, but it doesn't feel apocalyptic. We only see the three isolated areas, the coach bus, the cable car, and the chalet. There are mentions in passing of the outside world, but if the mail system still works, I would argue it's not really an apocalypse. We just don't see enough of the world at large to really make it feel like the world has ended or is even on the brink of doing so. Likewise, there isn't a great deal of description overall. I can't really picture what the chalet or retreat looked like for the life of me. Granted, there is just a lot of snow everywhere, but I was kind of I don't really know where anything's situated here. I wasn't even sure where in the country or the world this was actually set. I think the book's main drawback is that there are too many side characters. Each setting has a group of people, all of whom get limited or slowly parceled out backstories. To keep the twists in place, probably. So they all sort of blend together, especially at the start. Half the time I had to pause and be like, is Sarah the one in the cable car or the bus? Because I couldn't remember. When they start dying, it gets easier, of course. But it's just, at the start, it's just a whole bunch of people. And I'm just kind of who is who? Now, I will say there are a few really good twists in the novel, with a few I didn't pick up on and a few that I did. Unfortunately, a lot of these twists are revealed through info dump monologues at the end of the book. Therefore, after the reveals were made, I got bored and I skimmed the last 30 pages. There's just a lot of people getting shot left, right, and center, which is less interesting to me than the zombie virus creatures that don't get enough page time. My disinterest in the denouement of the book could also be because the main character grows very unlikable, so I didn't care if they lived or died in the end. That might be it as well. In truth, while I don't think it's a bad novel at all, I think it's a decent novel. I think other people would really enjoy it. It just didn't work for me, which is fine. My brother-in-law, who usually likes the kind of weird books that I recommend him, he hated one that I love, and we only experience, a slight amount of ill will towards one another now. Me poisoning his drinks, that kind of thing. Thanks for watching.